Hi everyone, welcome in. Today is Sunday, May 26, 8 p.m. New York session time, Eastern Standard Time. We're going to go over a couple of news events first throughout this week on Forex Factory, and then we're going to jump into it by going through our indices, metals, and Forex pairs. Now, without further ado, let's start. So for tonight, Asian session, Sunday, we do see red folder news for JPY. I don't usually trade the Asian session, so I'm just going to leave it as is. But just for you Asian session traders, that's what we have to look forward to. Red folder news tonight, JPY. Tomorrow, Monday, May 27, we have a bank holiday for GBP. We also have a bank holiday for USD. Bank holiday here in the United States. So we do not, we shouldn't have too much market movement throughout the New York session. So once the London session dies out, we shouldn't really be expecting much happening for us in the New York session tomorrow. Tuesday, what do we see Tuesday? Tuesday, we see orange folder, right? So something at New York Open, half an hour right before New York Open on Tuesday. Then 30 minutes after New York Open, we have CB Consumer Confidence, red folder on USD. Then during Asian session, we have the Aussie dollar, CPI. Wednesday, what do we see Wednesday? Wednesday, we see red folder for Euro all day. Thursday, for red folder, we have New York Open 1 hour before the New York Open at 8:30 a.m. New York session time. We have two red folder news for USD. And then 30 minutes after New York session open, we have red folder for USD. We have during the Asian session, that same day, Thursday, red folder news for CNY. And then we have on Friday, what do we have on Friday? We have Friday 1 hour before New York Open, Canadian dollar and USD, both red folder news. All right, jump in the charts. We're going to go look over here. All right, so on the daily, you can see we are extremely bullish. We still have these bullish fair value gaps over here. We are currently trading above this market structure over here. All-time highs, completely new all-time highs. Let's move this down over here. Change that a little bit. Market white. I'm going to label this as our all-time high. That's crazy. We broke 19,000 on NASDAQ. We're not that, not that far away from 20,000. We could actually hit 20,000 before the end of the year. The way the market's going right now, how it's extremely bullish. Daily, what do we see on the daily? Daily, we have this fair value gap over here. We're going to color that blue. Let's stretch that out a little bit. This is at 18,535. We're going to set an alert right there. Once again, that's 18,535.5. That's a daily fair value gap right there. Daily fair value gap 50% mark. I'm going to lock that in. So when price comes and retests this area here, we should be expecting movement upwards, and then looks like right here at this candle, it did just that. It was close enough for us to actually consider it. So I'm gonna actually remove this now that we have that confirmed. This has been tapped into and mitigated, so that's no longer valid. The next closest daily fair value gap for us, closest to our price action, is right over here. We're looking at 17,872.75. Let's check you out. Still very bullish. Check you out on the lower time frame. What do we see on the lower time frame? Well, we see two fair value gaps right over here. This is an inverted fair value gap now. Pretty nice level right here. So that right there got disrespected by this fair value gap over here. So we should be seeing some price action play out right here in the top end of this fair value gap. This was a bearish fair value gap, disrespected by this massive displacement candle. And now it's a bullish fair value gap over here. We should be seeing price action play out somewhere there. Seeking this all-time high. Let's label this 4-hour fair value gap 50%. What else do we see on the 4-hour? We see one fair value gap over here inside this. And it is very bearish. Excuse me, that's very bullish. If we draw our OTE fibs from this market structure over here, we can see that that's in our OTE time frame. Overlaps with the 0.62, makes for a valid entry. We're going to label this one as well. We don't want to miss out on that. So this is on the 4-hour. Gonna mark that right there, lock it down, set an alert. This one's at 18,452. And we're gonna label you as well, 4-hour fair value gap, 50%. We're not gonna go any lower because price action is more accurate on the 4-hour when it comes to NAS, and then we look for our entries once we get into that point of interest. So for now, once price action actually does tap into this area here, and we set an alert, which we should have an alert set right here, 18,816.75. We're going to be looking for points of entry on the 5 and 15 minutes. Let's move on to metals now. We've identified daily time frame, and we've identified the 4-hour time frame here on NAS. Moving on to the next pair, which is going to be gold. All right, gold. What do we see on gold? We are on the daily. All-time high over here, 2454.4. That's our all-time high on gold. It looks like the market structure is turning bearish, but we still need to break over here this market structure in order for it to be a market structure shift. So for now, we're looking for, at this extreme premium, to short that. We have the OTE fibs overlapping over here. And what I like as well is when the order block overlaps with the fair value gap, which is going to be right over here. So you're going to have that there. Fair value gaps there. This is an order block over here. This is the last bullish candle before this displacement to the downside. So the entry, the cleanest entry would be right here. This overlap of the order block and the fair value gap. I'm going to set my alerts right there. That's at 2410, 2410. I'm going to set my alert for shorting. We're also going to be watching price action develop on the 5 and 15 minute time frame to make sure that it is a clean entry for us. This right here has been disrespected. This fair value gap and this fair value gap are not in the optimal trade entry, right? They're not on an extreme premium. They need to be above the 0.5. And then this one overlaps with the order block. So that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for that overlap in the order block. Then that's what we're going to get into. So once again, that one is at 2411. This is on the daily. Let's check out the 4-hour. What does the 4-hour show us? Come over here to where price action was its lowest. Yeah, it pretty much sees the same thing, right? We have a fair value gap over here, which this is so close to the price action that it shouldn't hold it back at all. I started getting into inverted fair value gaps a lot lately. So pretty much you can set an alert over here too. 2356.9. Once I have something that closes above that, I know that it's going to continue upwards, and then retest that area there where it has the order block and also the fair value gap on the daily. And then that also overlaps with the 4-hour. You also see here, there's a fair value gap here bearish and a fair value gap here bullish at the same areas. So there is a lot of volume in that area. Market structure shift here. So we should be looking at short positions, right? Until price action breaks through this market structure here to confirm bullish momentum continuation, right? So that's what we have on the daily. That's what we have on the 4-hour. Our 2 points of interest are going to be 2-4-11 for a short, because it overlaps with the order block and the fair value gap on the daily. And then our other point of interest is over here, 2356.9. You can round it up to 2357, and then that's just going to confirm the push up into that area right before it dumps, in theory, right? At the end of the day, price action is going to do whatever it wants, but that's what we're expecting price action to do for us. Let's move on to silver. Silver daily. Ooh, silver's not pulling back at all. What does this look like? Boom, boom, boom. Doesn't give me too much confidence. We're still gonna go up. So we're gonna mark out this area here. We're still very bullish. Everything is very bullish until we confirm that it's not. We're just looking for entries for us to get into. You have an order block here, and then you also have a fair value gap and an order block here, right? So that overlap right there in the center, I'd say that's what we're looking at. Let's set an alert right here. Alert is set at 29.55. And then you also have another alert here at the 50% mark. That's 29.29, rounded up. Daily. Fair value gap, 50% mark. Mark that, lock it down. And that's what we're going to be looking at as well. You also have one at 28. That's another daily fair value gap, 50% mark. And if you draw your fibs from the market structure to the market structure high, this is right below the 50% mark. And then you have this one over here that's between the 0.705 and 0.8. This one is extremely high quality. I'll definitely set a limit order here at 27.75. This one might be for the continuation, but this one's the highest quality play right here. Gonna leave the OTE fibs there for now. Awesome. Moving on to Euro USD. Euro USD, we have here this daily fair value gap. We have this trend line over here, which I'm expecting this trend to break. Sweep everybody's stop losses, and then continuation to the downside. Right now we have this daily fair value gap here, broke through, disrespected it. Now it's using this as a support level. We're going to convert this as a bullish fair value gap on the daily. That's going to be our support level now. Price action should break through here, do a liquidity sweep, and then we'll see how it respects this fair value gap here. That's on the daily. This has disrespected this and then came right back up as well. Not real clear indication of where price action is going to be, but right now it's playing out in this daily fair value gap that is now bullish. So we should expect some kind of small pump and then dump as well. Liquidity sweep here, and maybe even take out the liquidity right here as well. Let's check it out on the 4-hour to see if it's any more clear for us. We have a fair value gap here. Boom, followed by another. No, not really a fair value gap here. So that little tiny fair value gap was disrespected. And then boom, bounced off it. Fair value gap over here, that's bearish, was disrespected by this. Nothing really clear actually. What do we see here? Where price action is currently now. You should, in theory, so you have the daily fair value gap 50% mark right there. That's our new fair value gap because it disrespected it. You have fair value gap here on the 4 hour, fair value gap here on the 4 hour. Boom, inverted, overlapping with the daily inverted as well. And then that fits in the optimal trade entry. Now you have an order block over here. So I would say set an alert right here at the 50% mark. And set an alert right over here as well at the overlap of the order block. This might actually sweep this and continue up. But we gotta watch out how price action develops on the lower time frames like the 5 and 15 minute. First alert is set at 1.08300. The second alert is set around 1.08220. These are the entries that I'm looking at for a long position into this buy side liquidity. I'm going to use this one, which is the closest one. I'm using EZAlgo SMC indicator. So that's pretty much where I'm basing my buy side liquidities. I'm also looking at the closest point of interest when it comes to the buy side liquidity. And that's usually where I would target this one and this one. But this one's the closest one for me. But just to be safe, I'll target that. Let's go on to GU. GU never pulled back. We have a daily fair value gap over here that was disrespected. And now it became a new bullish daily. Nuts, like right over it too. We have an alert site over here, 1.2620. Market structure shift, and boom, fair value gap, inverted fair value gap. Looking at the OTE fibs. Where are you at? Closest price structure. Gonna be right there. So the optimal trade entry is gonna be actually down here, 1.2580. We're looking for this lower fair value gap over here. And then also you can probably do an entry over here at this overlap of the order block. But there's no fair value gap over here. So this one's not as high quality as this OTE fib overlapping with the fair value gap. So I'd be looking for an entry over here, 1.2580. That's what I'm looking at. You also have this daily fair value gap over here. Set an alert. That's at 1.2620. That's what we're looking at. What do we see on the 4 hour? Not much in the 4 hour. And this fair value gap over here, but it's too close to the price action, so I wouldn't count on it. This fair value gap is not a fair value gap because you have a wick. Almost looked like the one. This one over here, boom. Completely inverted. And then use that to destroy this daily fair value gap that was once bearish, now it's bullish. Yeah, we're just gonna wait for price action to develop on the daily, and then 1.2413 overlaps with that daily, which is right here, right? No, it's this one over here. So yeah, you're looking for pretty much 1, 2, 3 different points of interest. Those are the ones that we're looking at right now. We'll have to wait to see how price action develops on the lower time frames. Moving on to JPY. JPY on the daily, what do we see? I see this. We should see price action pull back into this area here. 0.0067630 and then also 0.0068135. Price action should tap into that and then continue on the downtrend. I don't see anything else at the moment that's closest to the price action. Here it's tapped into and mitigated, which means that this price structure needs to break through here, tap into one of these bad boys here, and then continuation to the downtrend. Set your alerts on this and wait for it. This one should play out nicely. And the DXY, what do we see on the DXY? We see a lot of noise over here. Remove all this nonsense. Let's mark out this 50% mark. We're gonna color it blue. Remove that. What does this look like? So looking at the USD, this is the 50% mark of this fair value gap. And then we have this inverted fair value gap here too. So this is priming to just rocket up, meaning that the USD pairs should dump. So this is going up and the USD pairs should dump as well. Now, NAS has been so powerful lately that even though USD has been moving up, it's moving up as well. So I don't know how much weight and how much truth that correlation holds at this moment in this market condition. But just so you know, USD is strong right here. And if the candle closes above this fair value gap here, it should be bullish. What do we see here? Honestly, the only point of interest I see is over here, but that's really low. But we can still consider it. It's on 4 hour. Let's lock that in. $104.350. And then if you draw the fibs on this, it provides you an incredible entry right there. Right between the 0.705 and the 0.8, which is great. That's a high quality entry right there. That's what we want. And then you can see the negative 0.27, which is my take profit, is right there at the buy side liquidity. Beautiful confluence there. There's also a fair value gap over here that gives you confluence on the buy side liquidity. Pretty nice additional confluences right there, but set your alerts. Once price action hits that 104.350, then we're expecting everything else to dump, right? You're expecting gold to dump, you're expecting Euro USD to dump, you're expecting NAS to dump. But NAS has been doing its own thing. NAS has been really strong. We just have to wait for price action to develop. And then we have US oil there, and then US 30. I don't trade those pairs. I don't keep up with them. So that's not going to be something that I go over. But maybe in the future, we can look at some US oil once I start understanding it a little bit better. But for now, I'm going to stick to what I know best, which is NAS 100. And that's pretty much it for me today, folks. I'll catch you next Sunday, same time, same place, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And great luck in the markets this week. Thank you and goodbye for now.